order to rename Lake Ontario as Lake America. This is as the trade war between the United States and Canada intensifies. The Canadian Prime Minister said the name of the lake is Lake Ontario, quote, now and always. And it's not just the Canadian Prime Minister speaking out. I want you to listen to a preseason football game, the opening of a preseason football game last night in Cleveland. This is the legendary Al Michaels having a go at all this.
Back we are now in Cleveland. That is Lake Erie. We think it is still called Lake Erie on the right. We're not quite sure at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll be by Lake, something like Ontario or whatever it's going to be called by the time we get to Buffalo. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Some of you do.
Some of us do.
Yeah, right. Read the news.
With us now, Senator Chris Coons, a Democrat from Delaware on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, among other things. So Al Michaels had some fun with it last night. Is this just the president having fun?
Well, I don't know if we're having fun. The American people, 6 months after President Trump launched his war of choice against Iran and weeks into our renewed trade war with Canada, what I'm hearing from Delawareans, John, is that they're sick and tired of this. Gas is high, groceries are high, healthcare and housing are high, inflation's gone up. And frankly, it's just pathetic that President Trump takes strong action to rename one of the Great Lakes. I expect him to announce the Make America Great Lakes next. And frankly, it's making us a laughingstock. He has threatened and then backed down on all sorts of things. Whether it was his threat of an economic D-Day against Iran just last week that Secretary Bessent walked back, or his threats of tariffs against all sorts of countries that have come and gone, or his threat to bomb Oman a few weeks ago that, frankly, no one took seriously. This isn't good. A great power can't have a president who routinely bluffs and who, when frustrated, throws a temper tantrum. Whether it's threatening to bulldoze the Kennedy Center if they don't put his name back on it, or signing an executive order to rename a lake that we share with what used to be our closest, most trusted ally in the hemisphere.
What is your preferred outcome in terms of trade with Canada, and how would you get there?
First, Trump should back down. This is a stupid, pointless trade war with a country that we share the longest unguarded land border on Earth with. Look, there are folks who patrol the border for security reasons, but we don't have any military because we have been allies for decades. And so for a majority of American states, like my home state of Delaware, Canada is our main export market. And for dozens and dozens of companies in my home state and my region, they get critical supplies from Canada. So whether it's plywood to build new housing with, or it's oil and gas that we refine and put in our cars to keep our prices low at the pump, I don't think 50% tariffs are a good idea. Look, Prime Minister Carney of Canada is the latest world leader to basically thumb his nose at Trump and say, I've had enough of you bullying us. We're seeing peak Trump because after this midterm election, he's going to be a lame duck. And I think President Trump should rethink whether or not a trade war with Canada sends the right signal to the world, to our economy and our people, and to the people of Canada.
So, as I mentioned, you're on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. We learned this week that the CIA Director, John Ratcliffe, made this visit, this unusual visit to Moscow to meet with Russian officials there. It's not totally clear exactly what it was about. There are reports that he was warning Russia not to invade or engage in any kind of action with NATO nations. There are reports that what he was telling the Russians is, hey, we have intelligence that your war in Ukraine is going badly, disastrously even so. What do you know, if anything, about the context of this trip, and what questions do you have?
Well, what I can say is simply what's been reported in the press. And I think both of those messages would have been good messages for him to deliver. First, that Putin's war in Ukraine is disastrous. He's lost more than 500,000 men. He is making no progress on the battlefield, but he is imposing huge costs on civilians within Ukraine. It's time for Russia to finally get to the table and negotiate. President Trump promised, remember, as a candidate, he would end this war between Russia and Ukraine on day one. Here we are a year and a half later. It's time for them to get to the table and for Ukraine to achieve a just and lasting peace by having strong support from the United States and the rest of NATO as they do. Also, a good reason for this trip is recent increased actions by Russia. There have been jet fighter incursions, drone incursions throughout Western NATO. There have been dozens of incidents of sabotage that public reporting suggests are tied back to the GRU and their intelligence service. Most recently, an alarming and nearly disastrous planned attack allegedly by Russia in Leipzig, a major German orbital airport where an armed drone was preparing to knock down a German cargo plane taking munitions into Ukraine. I hope that CIA Director John Ratcliffe warned Putin that the United States still stands behind NATO and we will defend NATO against any further Russian incursions, sabotage, or attacks.
Senator Chris Coons, we appreciate your time this morning, as always. Thank you. At least 90 Americans among the hundreds of people missing after the devastating floods in Nepal. How the State Department is getting involved in the rescue efforts. And very shortly, the Artemis II crew will be honored after their voyage to the far side of the moon. Massachusetts' approval rating is low, really low, but hey, November is still 2 months away. Is there time for the president to turn things around? With us now, Chief Data Analyst Harry Enton. Before we answer that question, when we say the president's approval rating is low, how low?
How low does he go? Well, this is a president who is stuck on empty, and it is just, I mean, just look at this. It's just consistently low. It's stuck on empty, stuck on neutral. Whatever type of gasoline analogy you want to use. Trump's net approval rating stays at 22 up. You know, on May 28th, you go back a few months ago, minus 20 points. Minus 19 points 2 months ago. Minus 20 points a month ago. And now minus 21 points. The president's approval rating, simply put, is low. Net approval rating is low. It is staying low, and there is no sign that he's getting out of the basement. He is stuck below the ground floor.
I mean, the one thing that jumps out at me here, 4 straight months of basically the same number. When
Correct.
you see something that steady, that needs to be a concern there. But the other way of looking at it is, hey, as I said, it's only the end of August, beginning of September. Surely there's time to turn things around.
Surely you can't be serious. He is stuck in the mud, and there's no reason for me to believe that he will be able to get himself out of the mud. Because I just want you to look historically speaking, okay? The average shifts in the president's net approval from this point before the midterms, August 28th, to the midterms. You know, back in the day, from 46 to 2002, you saw 11-point shifts on average. Shifts were crazy. You could be low, go high. There was Camp David in 78 with Jimmy Carter. But if you look over the last 20 years, look at this. The average shift has only been 2 points. It's only been 2 points. What we've seen in our polarized era is the president's approval rating basically seems to be stuck from this point to the midterms, and that is exactly what we see on slide number 1 here, where you see that the president's net approval rating is basically stuck at minus 20 points on average.
So other presidents who've been underwater, if not this much underwater, what has happened to them in the midterm?
Yeah, okay, so why don't we go historically speaking, right? Minus 15 points or worse net approval rating at the midterm like Trump currently has. He's more around minus 20 points, right? Lost the House and the Senate, yes, the 2 examples. Harry S. Truman back in 46, his Democratic Party got absolutely crushed in those midterm elections. And of course, George W. Bush is the key historical analogy that I keep pushing for, because it's the one that really rhymes right now. And you see George W. Bush's Republican Party back in 2006, they lost the House in the United States Senate. The bottom line is President Trump is stuck. The historical analogies that match him right now are the ones that are no bueno for him or his Republican Party.
And what are the prediction markets saying right now about that balance of power?
Yeah, you look at the Kalshi prediction markets right now. Okay, 2026 House Senate chances. Actually, the highest one on here is a Dem sweep at 46%. A Democratic House and Republican Senate is next to 39%. The idea of the GOP is, hey, it could happen, but it's just at 16%. And then a Republican House and D Senate at 1%. But right now, the plurality is actually a Democratic sweep.
Harry, thank you very much.
Thank you. You're never stuck on this.
We've got a lot of news this morning. We'll be right back.
Beyond, brought to you downstream. The death toll has now climbed past 500, with more than 1,300 people still missing, including dozens of Americans. Joining me now is Tommy Pigott. He is a spokesman for the U.S. State Department. Thank you for being with us this morning. There is so much tragedy, so many families wondering where their loved ones are. At this hour, how many Americans are still missing in this disaster?
As of 6 a.m. this morning, there are approximately 90 Americans that are unaccounted for. We are aware of 5 Americans that have been safely evacuated. That number is up from yesterday. And at this time, we are aware of no U.S. citizens deaths. In response to this devastating flood, we have activated 500,000 food and life-saving assistance. As we now say, the first truck rescues are already on their way. So our highest priority is safety and security of the Americans. Coordinate with the government on the ground to look for those Americans who are unaccounted for and to help those Americans in need of assistance.
I want to take people back to this extraordinarily terrible video of one of the places that was hit the hardest, which was that border crossing where tourists coming and going from the Tibet to Nepal border was basically, that's what it looked like before. And this is what happens when the flood comes and just engulfs the whole area. Is that where you believe that the majority of Americans went missing in this apocalyptic flooding, or is it widespread?
Well, part of what we're trying to do, and that's why coordinating with local officials, our embassies in Beijing, Kathmandu, overseeing 24/7, so that the Americans can help Americans need the help, and we're working, like I said, directly with governments in order to locate those Americans and see if the government knows where these are and where these Americans are as well. We're also working with trekking companies that have listed clients, for example, in areas like the high tourism area. So we're in communication with trekking companies to see if they know where we're about to leave Americans as well. And when Americans reach out to us, we're proactively reaching out to those families, we're actively reaching out to governments to look for these Americans, to locate them, and to help those Americans that are in need.
You were talking about the Easter Foundation, so there were 22 Americans who were at that particular point when this happened. They have not heard from them. So it is great to hear that you are talking to these trekking companies and organizations, because that is what a lot of people come to Nepal, and especially in that place of Tibet, to do. I'm curious if you're hearing from survivors, hearing what their needs are at this point in time. Have you been contacted by many survivors?
So that's part of our coordination with the local authorities on the ground. That's that initial 500,000 with those trucks already on the way, including that life-saving humanitarian assistance, which will include things like food, sanitation, water, things so desperately in need. This is a hard area to reach at the best of times, made even more so given this catastrophe, but we're committed to getting that humanitarian assistance in. We also have a disaster assistance response advisor that is already on the ground in terms of making sure that is coordinating and advising how best to get this humanitarian assistance to people that need it. So we're continuing to coordinate with authorities on the ground. And as the president said, we stand ready to help with whatever they may need.
This is going to need an incredible and a long time to try and get back to just being able to travel and traverse these dangerous areas. I do know that there is at least one family expressing some frustration on getting very little information about the whereabouts of their loved one. What advice can you give families who are trying to get any information about where their loved ones might be, where, for example, they went missing and when?
First, if you go to travel.state.gov, you will see emergency contact information based off of where you are in the world. If you're abroad in need of assistance, please call +1-202-501-4444. Travel.state.gov will also have information in terms of contacting the embassies in Beijing and Kathmandu, which are working 24/7 on this. We are dedicated 24/7 to getting as much information as we possibly can, proactively reaching out to families who are in so desperate need of information, and then helping Americans as we have assistance. Of course, this catastrophe is beyond words. We are seeing those glimmers of hope in terms of the 5 Americans that have been safely evacuated. We are here to help every single American that we can. That is our dedication. That is our highest priority. That is our commitment. So if you're looking for information, please go to travel.state.gov and you'll find information on how to contact the embassies, the emergency contact line, and again, take that number if you're abroad.
Giving us a new number of those who have been evacuated who are Also this morning, we're on verdict watch in the Lindsay Clancy trial. The jury deliberating as we speak. They will decide whether she is guilty of the murder of her 3 children. And the Washington Commanders began selling gear with the franchise's retired name and logo. And now, there's some backlash stirring.
Officers saved a woman who was pinned under a Jeep after it crashed into her e-scooter. They were able to lift the thing up just enough. I think we see it, maybe? Well, they were. Take my word for it. They were able to lift the Jeep up just enough for her to get out. The woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities cited the driver of the Jeep for the crash. The Washington Commanders are selling new gear with their old name, the Redskins, and their logo on it. The team insists it has no plans to change the name back, but says this is a legal move to protect trademark rights and stop bootleggers. But a Native American advocacy group is condemning the decision, calling it a broader pattern of disrespect. All right, CNN can officially project that this is the TSA's top dog of 2026. Bolt is a 3-year-old short-haired German pointer who works at the Dallas Fort Worth International Airport and apparently always is surprised. All right? Bolt is very surprised by all of this. The TSA conducted a nationwide contest on social media. It started with 85 dogs. Bolt's handler says he's never short on energy, is always 1,000% excited to go just like Sara Sidner.
That was my surprise face early in the morning. I love him so much right now. Look at that toy. He's number one. Just like me. Alright. Speaking of number ones, they're back. Venus and Serena Williams are together again on the court. So she just received a wild card entry into the U.S. Open doubles tournament, adding to a legendary career that already includes 14 Grand Slam double titles. And while those tennis icons return to the hard court, making the country by storm, you know this. Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America, with millions of new players,
Like the ball's bouncing, just short in the kitchen. So that's a dink.
Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America. I had to find out more. Turns out even a novice like me can pick up the game very quickly. Of course, I had to learn how to serve.
Alright, forget the service.
There's more like top spin. You can try and block the ball. And maybe that's not I think that's down. And then if you start backing up,
Tour is on my horizon, but I feel like I may have picked up a new hobby.
My competitive nature, even though I know I can't win.
Over 24 million Americans played pickleball in 2025, up nearly 500% since 2020. Regular season attendance for Major League Pickleball was up 60% year over year, as the season closes out with the 2026 MLP Finals here in New York City.
You can really come out first time and have a base level of ability that you really can't in golf, baseball, tennis.
I'd say one of the best things about pickleball is just how easy it is at the introductory